with our first match in round 2, wangShOji versus URVoice. I'm assuming UR is actually a clan. I'm sorry that I don't know this off the top of my head. We'll actually clear that up in between matches. But let's go ahead and get into this. Spawning at the top is wangShOji, our red Zerg player, and his opponent at the bottom is URVoice, our yellow Protoss player. This is, of course, the Force Cross Spawn's position here on MLG Antigua Shipyard.
And you
luckily, even Blizzard has realized that, hey, cross spawns are good.
Yeah. If only they would get the supply depots in place, then there would be nothing else to complain about. I love that they've taken the golds out. Love that they forced cross. For anyone watching who hasn't really caught on to why the force spawn is in place, I know I say this sometimes, but we always have new viewers. If you spawn close by air to your opponent here, then one of you is close to your opponent's natural by air, and one of you is close to their main by air, and that can be a huge turn of the tides when you're doing drops, when you're doing any kind of play, when you're anything except for like blink and things like that. But any kind of drop play, any kind of air play, one person has the advantage of hitting right into a main, and the other one has the disadvantage of hitting a natural, which yes is an important place to hit. But if you want to do real damage, and like let's say you're not trying to just hit in the mineral line, you're trying to take like a greater spire down as it's going up. That don't do you any good in their natural. You need to be in that main. So by this, it's giving both players the equal. You're both equally distant from everything. So that's the importance of why so many people said this is such a great map, but you gotta cross spawn it.
Yeah, and we actually have Nexus first here from our Protoss player.
Yeah, he's got the brass set for the day so far. He ain't scared. But we do have pull first coming up against him, and we'll see. I mean, this is quite punishable at this point. Overlord getting close to being over here to see what's going on, as we still don't even have a forward pylon up to start a wall.
Yeah, and even the forge going down in the main base of Voice, which is honestly now seems to be the trend, at least here on the North American server, just so your forge is a little more protected. But that can get scary when you really need that wall built quick because your opponent did something like an early pull.
Yeah, I mean, right now, 6 lings could get in there and be doing so much harassing damage, like we were talking about before. And this is unusual walling that he's doing here. That's going to force anything that comes around. Once these gases are in place, he's going to force it to go all the way around the mineral line. Well, not necessarily behind the mineral line, but it has to cut all the way around to get over there. So it's kind of protecting his ramp a little bit there, and it's forcing a long distance if you want to come in and do some damage. The downside of it is that you can start getting like banglings morphing over there behind your gas and not have units to deal with it.
Most definitely, but Shoji's taking the economic route now. He saw that it was that forge in the main type of expand, but that gives him free reign to go and take his third base now, without having to worry about any kind of defense or anything like that, because whenever you're setting up cannons and you're trying to defend your front, you don't have units out immediately. There's no way right now that Voice could go ahead and push across the map and try and do damage.
I'm actually liking URVoice's option on this wall here. It's a little bit unusual. He's walled off the ramp. He's putting the cybernetics to wall behind the minerals. He's kind of doing like the equivalent of how Terran tries to place their buildings. You want them to make it quite difficult to get into that mineral line, and he's kind of doing that as a Protoss, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It forces down the surface area as well. Everything that comes through here to try and get to the main's going to be in range of that cannon, so it's going to be able to take out a few lings before a ling run by can really occur. The only thing that Zerg can do is just try and push a ridiculous amount of lings into the main base, but even then, that's just not economically sound. I wouldn't see Shoji doing this. We've seen him play quite a bit here at Yogito. He always tends to take more of an economic approach.
And he does pull those lings off as URVoice is starting to push back towards the cannon area. Looks like this Overlord's going to get a few shots on it, but then it's about to be out of range in just a second from where this Protoss Stalker can't hit it anymore. And if he doesn't move too far forward, he'll be safe. If he goes too far, the Stalker's going to be able to circle around and get it anyway. And here comes the first Immortal working its way out. We've got 6 lings coming out for Wang. who is going ahead and still rolling on 2 gases right now, still droning up quite heavily. I'm actually expecting him to go ahead and get on a 4th before too long, because that is more his style to kind of just keep establishing and kind of wait a little bit before he gets too big of an army going. Let the Protoss do their little thing on a couple, and he's just going to poke around here and there and double check that he's still safe. Could be wrong, but seen that before. He is going ahead and getting layer tech started, but the good thing about what he's been doing here is, look at the minimal amount of lings that he's had to produce. I mean, he's probably made, we'll say, maybe 10 total lings, getting a roach warren out now, going ahead and just now getting roach speed after being on 3 bases, going ahead and getting that macro for the 4th, and he's not had to put out many units to deal with this, because he's got kind of good vision of what all's been happening. Nothing surprising.
But we are going to have a 8-gate push from our Protoss player with these Immortals. So this is going to be insanely powerful. Oh, okay, he did go ahead and URVoice canceled one of those gateways, so it's going to be 7 gates. 8 gates is insanely all in.
I was like,
so that's why I was like, wow, yeah, this game is going to end one way or the other in the next 5 minutes. But
there for a second you said URVoice canceled a gate, and I'm like, what did I do?
Dude, now you know how I feel. You keep saying URVoice, and then I think, what's wrong with my voice? And then it's the player. I actually think he changed his name when they gave us the name change ticket, just to mess with Castle.
Yeah, exactly.
And even the Warp Prism coming out now for our Protoss player, so he's going straight into this warping in 5 sentries, going to warp in some more with that next round.
Yeah, getting this
this is going to be really powerful. There's not too much out here to defend. We have 28, 32 lings on the way, and that's going to be enough to buy time, but depending on those force fields, that's what it all comes down to. And even Protoss it looked like he was trying to go around the outside of the Zelnaga so he could block some of this off, but he's not. The lings are going to push up.
Oh, no force fields there yet.
Loses 2 sentries right off the bat. Are about to lose a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, a 7th. Maybe even the 8th. This has just been shut down right now.
I do like how he lifted an Immortal that was in trouble. He went ahead and pulled. He's going to try to grab the 2nd one right here.
I'm surprised he didn't grab the full health one. Yeah, there we go. He's going to warp in, clean this up. But all those sentries, all that energy, all the time it took to store that up is just gone now.
Yeah, and now
that takes a lot of the oomph out of this push. And now Zerg's remaxing, or not remaxing, but repopulating his army here in the middle of the map. 4 more sentries on the way, but I'm not sure if this push is going to be entirely effective anymore. wangShOji was just completely prepared. He knew his timings of when this push was going to hit. And as we said last game, it's just so common for this Immortal Sentry push. You can pretty much always defend against it as Protoss, or as Zerg against Protoss, and be okay with your decision to defend against it.
Right. But we do see a Warp Prism going up towards 3rd. Gonna see if he's gonna do anything about that as he's pulling most of his army back, but roaches are coming in right now. Ready, and they are
across the map. Nice force fields though.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen the Protoss do anything with that Warp Prism, and it's not being dealt with by the Zerg player.
Oh, right when as soon as they were starting to he was trying to wait for those roaches to leave, and then as soon as they started to leave, and I don't agree with him trying to pull that back. He was already far enough. He might as well try to take a worker with him before he suicided it. More roaches, more lings on the way. This composition is just starting to get more and more deadly as it's coming through. It's going to take a lot more sentries to kind of help split this up, and it's not happening right now. Too many lings are caught in. Oh, look at this roach is being trapped right next to it. There's no Immortals left right now.
Yeah, it's really only sentries and a few stalkers truly fighting in this army right now.
Here comes a warp in of stalkers, which should help push this back for now. But he's just now, literally just now trying to get this next Immortal out, and then trying to go ahead and get Colossus going immediately, trying to get that Thermal Lance going. But, he's going to need a decent amount of Colossus to keep pushing this back. Because right now...
it doesn't look like it's going to stop from wangShOji. He just keeps making units and keeps pushing forward.
Yeah, well, he's got the economy he needs. Look at him. Look how well he manages his money. He stays really on top of it. He's never floating much money, unless it's intentional. Now we do have a couple zealots in doing some damage over here on the third, trying to get some workers out. But as they've been pulling, you know, he only took out one worker for that. So a 200 mineral investment in a couple zealots to only take out one worker in a very minuscule amount of time. Mining time really wasn't that effective.
Kind of bothers me though. Zerg still doesn't have any Evo chambers up, I don't believe. He's still sitting at 0-0. I can't seem to find them. And now the Evo chambers do go down. It was about time for that. And Protoss was sitting with his upgrades increasing. I was worried that if too much time was spent, Protoss would end up just being so far in upgrades. Yeah. And we all know how well Colossus scale up with upgrades.
And I'm kind of surprised this Colossus really isn't taking the high ground here.
Yeah.
And going ahead and taking the fact that his opponent can't see it. He can't really attack on it if he positions it right. He's trying to get that second one out. He's trying to get that third Nexus out at about the 8 o'clock position. Since he can't take his natural third, going ahead and getting that Twilight Council at the same time that Wang is going ahead and getting that infestation pit going. Another Warp Prism coming out with speed being upgraded. Now that we've got a second Colossus in here, URVoice just really needs to, like, his sentry control hasn't been spot on, and that's what it takes when you're fighting this type of an army. It has to be fairly spot on. Okay, and here we're starting to see.
That looks like the hidden base was spotted by the Zerg player.
Oh. Alright, Force Field's trying to trap a few roaches in so they can get picked off. Thermal Lance has finished the speed upgrade. Now the robotics is almost done. The gravity drive, he's trying to bait some of these forward so he can trap just a few roaches at a time. So far he's doing a good job, but he's only got so many force fields to play with. But
right now, I mean, Voice can't really afford to just keep pushing forward like this. I think as long as Shoji pulls back, he's already getting his high-tech Aspires on the way, as Pathogen Land's almost done, and he's doing a good enough job buying time. He might be able to get his Infestors out before this Protoss army can even work its way towards his base.
Just picking off a few units at a time, and he's really doing a good job, except that he's only got so much time that he has to wait between each one of these forces.
Colossus is chasing it gets pulled back.
And now we've got
about that for a second.
We've got another warp in at the third over here, trying to take out the Queen right now. Alright, Queen does fall. Now we're working on workers, see how much damage they can do at the same time. The army's starting to cluster up here. It looks like he's going to try to catch all these roaches into a choke. Splits them very nicely right there, forcing so many of them sitting on the ramp. Getting to pick off quite a few just from that force fielding, and he's cut this army to, he cut maybe a third of that army size out with very little losses of his own.
He did, but they're just such a strong economy here for Shoji. He's able to instantly remax.
Yeah, 20 more on the way. Corruptors are on the way now. Probably going to see Greater Spire start any second now. Even though this appears like he's in trouble, he still can pump out enough units. He should be able to get back into this. We'll see if he's going to, because we don't have a lot of force fields left to use right now.
Yeah, I don't really think there's enough time. I mean, unless Protoss decides to just sit back for a while. He's in an amazing position right now. He got lucky trapping that entire Zerg army at the third, and he's got some Zealots warping in now, about to take that out. There's just so many focusing that down. It's going to fall almost instantly.
Yeah.
That's all those drones, all that production is going to be lost for Shoji, and he has Corruptors out, but
yeah.
All that's going to do is take out those Colossus, and then what else are they going to do?
Yeah,
There's a ton of sentries, a ton of stalkers here.
Oh,
we have a Warp Prism bringing in more and more Zealots and stalkers every second.
Yeah,
and Shoji has the GG. He just got caught out of position there at his third base, and it let Protoss do way